I wanted to have you on to kind of kick off 2025 because I wanted to hear your thoughts on some themes in the year ahead. And then we can dive into some other ways that we can use astrology just to understand our lives and navigate our relationships and our careers.
So
Yeah.
for my water signs, and it doesn't mean just like your sun sign, you're already feeling kind of like this spiritual awakening that's going to be happening again in 2025. And for most people, it's going to come through a creative hobby, a desire to be more creative, like at work. And that extension also goes into be more free. In 2025, we're going to see unprecedented numbers of women leaving their jobs, going to other things, other opportunities. It could also mean women staying in their jobs, but they have a side hustle or they're starting a
Hmm.
business. Like it is officially the multi-hyphenate age of doing many different things. And remember, like when I started my business 6 years ago, it was like weird to do more than one thing. Like in
Yes.
LA, more normal, but in DC on the East Coast, like people are like, why don't you just do this like spiritual events company on the side and also like go work like at a PR agency, at a marketing agency? That's like my corporate background. And I was like, I just don't think I'm going to be able to do it. It's just like my whole being is going to get like sucked into this other thing that's actively generating like revenue and kind of like, oh, you're doing good, you're doing bad, like, kind of like having those like feeders in of like, oh, what you're like inputting is resulting in something versus when you have your own business. A lot of the work that you put into your own business doesn't always have a direct result immediately, like when you're working for someone else. And so much has changed over the last 5, 6 years. So many more people are like, you know what? I have other interests. I want to start other things. And so that's a huge change that's happening. And when I say spiritual awakening, we're redefining what spirituality means.
Yes.
And that's why I'm talking about creativity. That's why I'm talking about freedom. That's why I'm talking about financial freedom as well. Like the ability to do what your heart desires. It's moving into that heart centered living through a much more embodied way. Because, you can be like, yes, I'm following my heart, like I'm doing what I want to do, but it's very different as we kind of peel back the layers and do it even more. Does that make sense?
It really does because it's very much what I've been hearing. And it's also what I've been hearing from different teachers that I have. It's all a very similar energy. I'm curious what's
Yeah.
going to happen with men and their careers and their jobs.
It's interesting, right? Because from like what we see, kind of like what's happening in the world right now, it's a challenging time to be a man. It's a challenging time to be specifically a white man. We, over the last 20 years, have been focused on the young male, particularly the young white male. This is like a chapter, a cycle in feng shui and Chinese astrology. We've moved into a new period this year for the next 20 years where it's focused on the middle-aged woman. I know, literally, because it's 20 years, like everyone's going to be in this middle-aged category, whether it's
Yeah.
now or like they're like, oh, well, I'm only 18, like right now. Well, in 10, like in like 10 years, like you're moving very much so into that middle quote unquote aged like
Hmm.
stage of a woman, which is honestly like the best time because you have so much more clarity, you know who you are, you know what you want. And so these are the subtle changes that are happening right now. And I think that for them, like men are going to have the opportunity to really rise to the occasion and like pass the baton to women in different ways of like highlighting, like, Whitney does really good work in this. Like, we should really kind of give her a promotion or really highlight her like in this like local publication, something like that. I think that when men are being more collaborative, giving women the opportunity to really shine and to really speak up for themselves, which has been extremely challenging since forever. But we're kind of really finding ways to advocate our voices. Like they will manage the changes a lot better. Additionally, like if men are seeking therapy, if they're really getting in touch with their emotions, like really understanding their bodies. I mean, as a practitioner over the last year in my yoga classes, my sound bath classes, like I have seen more men than ever before. Even
Yeah.
for like my astrology clients, like more men are just like, this is kind of different and weird, but I'm into it. I'm open to it. So it is, I think, a challenging time as we make this transition because with change, like sometimes it can be challenging, but it's happening no matter what over the next 20 years.